Hello and welcome. Angela Meiritz-Reid here, Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm making this card. It's for the Global Design Project and it's a colour challenge this week of Soft Succulent, Sweet Sorbet and Petal Pink. All the products I've used are available at my online store and will be listed at the end of the video. I've also created a PDF tutorial which is available via my blog, and I'll pop a link to my blog in the description box. And if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love to have you here. To get started, I'm going to do some watercolouring because these pieces here have been created using this die, and I've got some shimmery white card. And I'm just going to watercolour that and then dry cut it. So I'll just bring in a little bit of extra scrap because I do find when I watercolour it does tend to go through a few layers if I'm not careful. So I've got I'm using the soft succulent ink and water painter, and I use a block quite often, it's just easy. And just pop a bit of ink on there. A little goes a long way. And then just going to add a little bit of water and then just add it onto here. You just want to add as little or as much as you like as far as depth of colour goes. I like to add darker bits through it, so it just gives a bit of variation to the leaf colour. So I'll just pop that aside to dry, and if it's not dry in time I'll use my heat tool. And the heat tool's quite good too because it moves the water around and gives you a different sort of effect. And then next I've just got a basic white card base, and for the inside I've just added a little bit of white paper and a strip of the DSP that coordinates with the front. And just ahead of time I've embossed this piece of basic white card, and with the it's with the quatrefoil tile, and it's just slightly smaller than the card. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop a bit of glue on the back of that. Pop that down there, just make sure it's nice and even. And then the next layer I've got is this is Sweet Sorbet, and it's from the little 6x6 DSP packs, and I'm just going to layer that up with some dimensionals. Just give it a bit of a lift. See, it's come off that one already. Makes it easier. So I'll just pop those sort of evenly across the back there. They seem to get everywhere, these little backs. And then I've just popped that on in a diagonal just to sort of lining up that corner and that corner. And then the next layer, that's a 12.9 by 8.5, and that's just going to go the other way. So I'm just actually what I've done for that is I'll do that now. Just sprayed some ink, and it's the Petal Pink, so I'm just going to pop that on now. You could put it on afterwards and pop it all over the flowers. If you're worried about how it's going to look, now's quite a good time to do it. And then if you don't like how it turns out, you can turn it over or use some more card. So that's that done. So I'll just set that. So that can go on now actually. So I'll just pop some more dimensionals on that one. Just enough to give it a little lift. that I've made so it's straight. So I've just lined that up and taken it up. And that's the base ready to go. Now I want to create my flowers and leaves. So the leaves, so I've got my bit of cardstock here, which I'll probably cut up when I want to pop it through the emboss and die cutting machine. So I've got the leaves here, and these are, I've lost my stamp set. They're all out of the Artistically Inked Stamp Set. So I've just got the soft succulent here. So I've got 3 of these here. So I'm just going to stamp 3. You just want to stamp them far enough apart that you've got room to die cut them. And then the next, I've got one of the larger flowers. So what I've done with that, I've stamped it in the petal pink. Give it a really good stamp up. And then I've used a dauber, and I'm using the Sweet Sorbet ink here. And I've just tapped it onto the end of the dauber and then just added it in onto here. So just around that center piece. You can't really see it on there, but I just want to keep on sort of going over it a little bit so it will just fade in and not be too stark. And then I'll just stamp that down this end. And that looks okay, so that's good. Happy with that. And then I want to do 3 of these. Oh, actually, another thing I want to do is in the middle, there's no middle. So what I've done is just use this image here. I'll just stamp it off a little bit so it's not quite so dark, and then just use it to fill in the white. Just stamp over it a few times. So it just takes that starkness away. And then the next flower size, just going to ink that again in the petal pink and do the same technique, just to add a bit of that to the middle, just gently, and hopefully by just going over a few times it does just blend it a little bit. So 1, and then you do need to clean it in between times, because otherwise you'll get the darker ink on your petal pink pad. And just one more. I did try it around the other way, but this one so with the Sweet Sorbet on the outside and the lighter colour on the inside, but I felt it looked better this way. It's interesting when you try different concepts. Right, so that's done. So now they just need die cutting. So I've actually gone ahead and I've already got 3 of the leaves. I've done those earlier, so keep those ones aside for another day, so to save watching me die cut all those. So I just need to die cut these 3, so I'll just bring in my little mini machine. And just pop that on there. I just tend to do one at a time just in case they move. That's one. It's a bit squeaky. Take it back this way. I don't know about you, but I always have, sometimes things work a better way, don't they, for you? Guess depending if you're left-handed or right-handed. Right, pop that one on. I know my poor plate is looking very battered, but I have got a new one, but I really like it when you've sort of worn them in a little bit. So until it totally disintegrates, I'll keep using it. And then just one more. So this idea with colouring in the middle, you could do that with lots of other stamps, or even if it was one that didn't have the filled in, it was an outline stamp, you could watercolour the inside darker than the outside. So that is done with those. And I want to do the sentiment, so there might just be enough room here. We'll see if I can tuck that in there. So I've just got happy birthday. It's a lovely, I love the sentiment, lovely crisp font. That's good. So I'll just bring in my little trimmer. If you had a die that worked for that, you could use that. Otherwise just trimming it down works. Just about lining it up really and getting it nice and straight. Sometimes look better than others. So that looks nice and straight, which is good. It's always a bonus when that happens straight away. And then I added these with glue dots. Now the reason I did that was because it just gave a little tiny bit of height, so it wasn't totally flat, but also so I could just tuck things in behind. So just pop just 2 or 3 of those, probably about 3, just near towards the center. And I'm just going to pop that there about the middle, or slightly towards the right. And I'll go back and die cut the other leaves shortly. So that one's just going to tuck in about there. And pop this one. It's going to sit just slightly on top. And tuck this one in behind here. And the leaves, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, just I always rip it off just because it's easy to manipulate rather than the whole roll, if you wonder why I was doing that. It looks a bit weird. Alright, so that one is just going to tuck in just there. And this one just in there. These are like lovely leaves. I love the graduating colour on there. And I've got so it's fairly dry, so you can see how it looks with the variegated colour, which I think works really well with leaves. So I'm just going to bring this in again. Sorry, bumping things here. So just pop that, and it doesn't matter if you don't get them all in because you won't necessarily use all the leaves anyway. So I'll just run that through. And with something like this that's got quite intricate pattern in it, or cutting out pieces, I tend to go through again, take that back, push that through. And because the paper, you know, just to get it cut properly. So hopefully twice will be enough. It's still a little bit damp, but that's okay. So you just want to be careful with it because it's quite fine as well, that it doesn't tear. And if you want, you can use like your foam brush to brush out those, or the end with the pokey tool, or just leave them depending what sort of look you want. So bring that back in. So what I did is I just sort of ripped off, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So with those, if it's going to pop up, you can just slightly trim that off just to make sure that's not going to be seen. And the same, or that's going to be tucked down, so that's all good. So a couple of options: pop the glue dot on the end, so you can just add that onto there, and then when you tuck that in, just tuck it in under there, and it'll stay stuck in there. So that's kind of quite a good way. Or glue's another option, just when you're tucking bits and pieces in. So that one can tuck. Doesn't really matter which ones you put where, just to get the look you like. So I like that it's got, you know, different colours and a bit of the white on it too. It makes it a bit interesting. Pull some of those. That's another way. It just, some of them just come out when you just run your finger over them. That one down there. And with something like this, they always look different every time you, you know, with watercolouring, you always get a different look. On there, and this one. So I'm just going to tuck those in under here. So it's a good thing of not gluing things down too tightly. You can pop things into different places. And that is the base. So the other thing I've done is I've just added a bit of Wink of Stella just to add a little bit of sparkle. So all I did is just added just a little bit onto the middle. It probably doesn't show up too much on the camera. I'll just bring it up so you can see. I don't know if you can see the sparkle, but I've just added a bit, just tapping it around. In real life it does show up. And then lastly, I'm going to make a little bow with the, and then to do that, just to make it a little bit easier, instead of tying knots, tying bows, which some people struggle with, it's just pop a bit of the Stampin' Seal. I find the plus is good for something like this, just to get that extra. And then, so we want the bow going that way. Well, it doesn't really matter, you could have it going either way. So so I just pop that on there, onto that tape, then do as big a loop as you'd like, and stick it back down onto the tape, and then do that again. Try and make sure your loops are fairly even. And then just cut that there, and hopefully, and so then we'll put some, hopefully it'll stick, I was going to say. So then just put a dimensional over the top of that, and then a couple on either side. And actually I might just pop another one just here to just to make sure that doesn't move. All that. Oh, see, I have gone the other way with this one. So, and I just line it up and take it up to here. Pop it about there. I like that to be underneath, so I'll just pull that back through there. And then lastly, just going to add these little sparkly gems. These are the fine sparkle adhesive back gems that are in the mini catalogue. They're gorgeous, I like these. So I'm just going to pop 3 of those around the card. On there, just like to anchor them against something. In this case the leaves, and I'll just might pop that on this one, slightly different place this time. So that is my card. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, and please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. So take care and see you next week. Bye.